Calum, you've left reality TV behind you.
Yeah.
Tell us about the documentary you did with the BBC.
Oh, that was a massive turning point for my life. I'm looking at this, right, and I think to myself, God, back in the day, I mean, I was in a pretty dark place, and I made some silly decisions. As much as I love Lucy, but when I did some of these shows, some of the things I'd say and the attitude I had wasn't the best one. You know, I think I just, not to get deep, but I think I just lost my old man. I was in a really negative place, and I was just making silly decisions. But as soon as I kind of came out of that haze a couple of years ago, the BBC and Children in Need asked me if I'd like to make a documentary with them called Brought Up by Booze, and it was one of the best healing processes I could have done. I traveled the UK for 5 months. I met all the different charities that were dealing with alcoholics and the children of alcoholics. It helped me find closure. It helped me deal with a bunch of anger issues I had due to my old man. And, you know, it was a really good experience, and a lot of people got in touch and said, thank you for putting a face to a problem that is a massive problem throughout the UK. So.
The reputation that you had and the one that you're trying to leave behind is somebody who was famous for being famous, really, wasn't it? When you were doing the reality stuff, you didn't really have a job per se, and that's what you want to change now.
Well, yeah, to defend myself, before I moved to the UK, I wasn't George Best's son, I was Calum Best, and I was doing well for myself. But the bigger picture for me was my father was ill, and I wanted to come to the UK and get to know him before it was too late. And I did that, but along the way, I was the son of George Best, and George Best was one of the biggest legends in the UK. And I'm very proud of that, and I'm very blessed, but like I said, there was a point, you know, for the past maybe 4 or 5 years where I wasn't in best form, and I was doing these shows because at the end of the day I was George Best's kid, and I had this reputation, and I'm trying to get rid of it, and I'm at a good place now in my heart and in my head, and I'm working now to build a brand, and I'm in my acting career and in my acting classes, and things are onwards and upwards.
So what is it that you would want to do as a job? What do you love?
I mean, I love my acting. I finally am back in my acting courses. I have enough confidence now because I lost it for a bit, and now, you know, I'm 29 years old, I've got my head down, I'm in my acting classes. I'm working on opening up at a restaurant as well because I love to cook. I'm also trying to build Calum Best, the brand, whether that be my fragrance, whether that be a clothing line. I'm started doing a book that's going to come out next year. So all sorts of things are going on. I'm very happy about that. So I'm at a good place at the moment.
Are you sorry you didn't start this maybe about 5 years ago? It would probably be off the ground by now.
Well, the thing was I wasn't ready to do it 5 years ago. You know, I wasn't in a good place when my old man was around. Sorry to keep going back to it, but it's a really important thing for me. When my dad was around, I always had hope. Yeah. And when I lost my dad, I lost all my hope, and with that, my dreams were shattered. And I started going, who cares about anything? You know. And it took me up until a couple of years ago when I filmed this documentary to get my confidence back and figure out who I am. You know, who is Calum Best, not George Best's son. And now I feel I've figured that out, and now I have the confidence to go out there, join my acting classes, start this brand, and hopefully start building a career for myself.
You were involved in the Children's Trust charity, a Vietnam trek with Gail Porter in on the show actually last week. She was one of the people you went with, wasn't she?
Great experience. Off the back of doing Children in Need, Children's Trust got in touch with me and said, we're going to Vietnam, Gail Porter and yourself, would you like to come along? I didn't know what I was getting myself into. They said, you should train. And I said, oh, I don't need to do any training. We went there. We trekked 110K, 7 days through the jungle, raised loads of money for the Children's Trust and awareness, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. And now they've asked me to do the New York Marathon next year, so I really got to start training for that one.
You've got to start training for that.
Another friend of yours, I suppose, who has been in the news over the past few weeks is Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, I feel bad. At the end of the day, I wish her the best. She's such a talented young lady, but sometimes the problem is when you're at such a young age and you're so surrounded by all this limelight and these people are so on her case, you know, you can lose yourself. And, you know, I hope she does really well. She's a talent, you know, she's just got so much pressure on her. And, you know, the whole family's in that limelight. So I wish her the best with it all because it's a tough situation. You don't like to see any young, talented girl going into jail. It's not a good look. You know?
I mean, do you like that world, that Hollywood world, or are you happy to leave it behind?
Well, the thing is that, I mean, you know, I'm a somewhat young, single guy, and you enjoy the entertainment industry, you enjoy the events that you can do, you enjoy the lifestyle that comes with it, but, you know, back then I didn't handle it very well, I didn't know how to handle it, it was all kind of fresh and new to me, but now I look at it and think, that partying and that lifestyle I lived, it got me nowhere, and I thought to myself, I know how that story ends, and I'd rather work and you know, and be doing a film role for 6 months instead of going out partying for 6 months.
So you mentioned earlier on, you have a new fragrance coming out?
Yes, I do. I started up a fragrance called Best by Calum Best. It's coming out at the end of this month. It's my little baby. It's my first project of my brand. It's selling in Ireland at McCabe's and McSweeney's, and up north it's in Semichem. So that's coming out, and I'm looking forward, and hopefully people will like that. And also I wanted to say, if anybody wants to come along to any signings I'm doing, they can get in touch with me on Twitter because I'll tell them where I'll be and what times.
Okay, well, we decided, since you have a fragrance, that Di should have one too. So we have put together this little number.
Nice.
It's called Eau de Shea.
Oh, the shame.
And I think you'll agree it's in a rather fetching It's a fetching product. I had...
It goes at your top.
we tried earlier on. Knock out a pony.
I don't know whether you should wear it or drink it.
Yum, I like it. That can go along. That can go along with Rear of the Year and Sexiest Man in Ireland. From what I'm hearing.
We were running. Weren't we running that on Facebook? Who is the sexier man, Dahi or Calum? The results so far: 66% Dahi, 33% Calum.
Fair play to you, mate. Listen, fair play to you.
There you have it.
No worries.